The old clock in the hallway ticked loudly as I stood in the dim light of my small, cluttered apartment. It was just after 6 in the evening, and the soft glow from my desk lamp spilled across stacks of papers, old pizza boxes, and an overflowing laundry basket in the corner. The musty smell of worn-out books mixed with the faint scent of burnt coffee, reminding me that I had forgotten to clean up again. I stared at the blank page in front of me, my thoughts racing faster than the clock's second hand. I could almost hear my mother's voice echoing in my mind. "Leela, you need to stay focused." But focused was the last thing I felt as frustration twisted itself around my heart like a vine. There was a flurry of knocking at my door, startling me from my thoughts. I jumped up, almost knocking my chair over. My fingers trembled slightly as I smoothed my hair back, trying to hide the mess I was, all before opening the door. It swung open to reveal Lucas, my best friend since childhood. I felt a grin pull at my lips, but it quickly faded when I noticed his worried expression. "Are you ready?" he asked, his eyes searching mine. "Ready," I echoed, feigning confusion as I leaned against the doorway. "For what? Another night of Netflix and me wallowing in my own despair." I tried to joke, but it sounded hollow even to my ears. "Come on, Leela, we talked about this. You need to face him and I'll be right there with you," Lucas replied, shifting his weight nervously while running a hand through his wild dark hair. The shadows of the hallway danced on his face, highlighting the concern etched on his brow. I sighed and stepped back, waving him into my chaotic world. I know, but I'm not exactly a poster child for confidence right now." He chuckled. "You can start a new trend. Scowl your way into bravery." But the tease didn't touch his warm brown eyes. They were serious, holding the weight of knowing what I needed to do tonight. As I closed the door behind him, my heart pounded like a drum. We made our way towards the door that led out of my apartment building. It creaked and groaned as I opened it. The cool evening air brushed against my face, a welcome relief to the stale atmosphere inside. The buzzing of the city surrounded us, filling the air with a cacophony of voices and honking horns. This was Crescent Grove, my hometown, a place I had both loved and hated over the years. The streetlights were flickering to life, casting long shadows that danced at our feet. "Leela, promise me you'll breathe," Lucas said, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder, forcing me to look at him. "Remember what we talked about. You're not going to let him walk all over you anymore." "I know," I mumbled, drawing in a shaky breath. "It's just, what if I explode? What if I say something I shouldn't?" "Then you say something you shouldn't. You are allowed to be angry. You have every right to feel that way," he encouraged, a quiet strength radiating from him. I nodded, yet my stomach churned like an angry sea. The impending confrontation with Ethan felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into an abyss. After everything he did to me, everything he took away, friends, dignity, and trust, it was time to face him. So why did it feel like stepping off that ledge might crush me? As we walked, I replayed moments in my head, each laugh, every whispered word of love that was followed by betrayal. The night Ethan left had etched itself into my mind, a permanent brand. "Leela, you just don't understand. I can't be with you anymore," I remembered him saying, his voice cold and distant, like he had never shared a breath with me. Lucas led us to a bustling bar, the Neon Peach, a local hotspot draped in vibrant colors and laughter. As we approached the door, I hesitated, my breath catching in my throat. "I don't know if I can walk in there," I said, feeling the very world around me vibrate with memories tied to that place. "To be honest, I do not want to walk in there either," Lucas admitted, wrinkling his nose. "But just think about it as you reclaiming your narrative." He pushed the door open, and the sudden wave of music crashed over us. I braced myself, a stubborn knot in my chest, feelings of anger and sadness bubbling just beneath the surface. The scent of fried food mingled with sweat and spilled drinks, filling the air with a sort of chaotic energy. I glanced around, spotting Ethan at a table in the back, a grin plastered on his face as he chatted with friends. The sight stopped me in my tracks. He looked so carefree, so utterly unbothered. Did he have any idea of the storm swirling inside me? Did it even matter to him? My heart raced furiously and I turned to Lucas. "He's here just sitting there like he owns the world. Does he even know what he did?" "Yeah, he knows," Lucas replied, his jaw tightening. "He's just hoping you will let him walk away from this without facing any consequences. That's why we're here, to make him face you, to make him hear you." I felt a rush of heat rise in my cheeks. "You make it sound so easy." "It is easy in theory, but you need to do it for yourself. He already took enough from you," Lucas said firmly, gripping my shoulder. "Now it's your turn to take something back." In that moment, something shifted within me. Maybe just a fraction of what remained of my determination didn't reside in the aching hurt, but in the hope for resolution. I drew in a steadying breath. You're right, I can't let him see me crumble again. So, what's the plan? He prompted, leaning in closer as the noise from the bar enveloped us. No plan, I said, surprising myself with the conviction in my voice. I just want to confront him. No excuses, just truth. He needs to know how much he hurt me. His gaze softened and a proud smile crept onto his lips. Then let's do this together. I took a step closer, and we navigated through the crowd, our movements fluid despite the throngs of bodies until we reached his table. Ethan turned, his bright blue eyes widening slightly as he recognized me. I could almost feel the spark of realization as I stood there, grounding myself in the reality of this moment. Well, if it is Leela Finnegan, to what do I owe this pleasure? He said, a smirk dancing on his lips. Pleasure, really? I shot back, anger flaring within me. I think you'd call it a surprise. I could feel Lucas at my side like a steady anchor, and I took comfort in that. So, what brings you here? I thought you would be too busy sulking in your own misery, he taunted, leaning back in his chair, nonchalant as if he had nothing to lose. Actually, I came to stand up for myself. You may not remember, but I have a voice too, I said, pushing down the waves of vulnerability crashing over me. The smirk faded, replaced by the tension of uncertainty. Leela, look, no, Ethan, you don't get to dismiss me anymore. I'm tired of pretending everything is fine when you threw away everything we had. So many nights spent wondering what went wrong, and I deserve to hear you say what you did was wrong. The words tumbled out before I could stop myself, a rush of emotions flowing from me, powerful and uncontrollable. I wanted him to see me, truly see me, not the version of myself he had twisted in his mind, or the shadow of who I had become in the aftermath. The lively chatter of the bar around us faded into the background as I focused entirely on him. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, and I could see the realization dawning in his eyes. He couldn't just charm his way back into my life with half-hearted apologies. He had underestimated my strength when he stepped away, when he walked away like I meant nothing to him. I crossed my arms, standing my ground, feeling every heartbeat echo with defiance. You can act like you were never bothered or feel guilty, but the damage is done. Can't take it back, and I'm done waiting for some half-baked excuse to justify your actions. I never wanted this to happen, Leela, he started, but the pain in my chest wrestled with my resolve. Then why did it? I cut in sharply, my voice quivering but loud enough to cut through the haze of confusion that settled between us. Why did you let me believe in us just to drop me like I was nothing? Because I thought it was best for you, for both of us, he defended, anger creeping into his tone. I just thought what? That I'd be okay with your decision. That you could break me and walk away without consequences. My voice rose with each word, fueling the fire that had been kindling in my heart. People at nearby tables were turning their heads, listening in. I could feel the weight of their gazes, but the scrutiny only fueled my courage. In this moment, I realized the truth. I deserved to be heard more than trying to hide my scars. Ethan's expression shifted, and I could see a flicker of regret flash across his face, quickly masked by irritation. You need to get over it, Leela. It has been months. I moved on and so should you. Moved on? Is that what you call it? I shot back, disbelief flooding through me. You think you can just erase me from your life and act like I never mattered? It's not like that. I never meant for you to feel this way, he began, his voice lowering as if some part of him recognized the hurt in mine. Then what did you mean? I pressed, clutching tightly to my resolve. Did you mean to shatter everything that we built together, to make me think I was never enough? Lucas shifted beside me, the look in his eyes steady and encouraging, like he was silently urging me on. With one last deep breath, I gathered every ounce of strength left in me to deliver my final words. I am done with your apologies and excuses. I deserve better than the shadows of what you think I should be. Ethan opened his mouth, and I could see the wheels turning in his head, struggling to form an answer. But words fell flat in the depths of silence that lingered between us. Despite the confidence that surged through me, a small part of me still trembled at the uncertainty of the aftermath. I will not be your past. I will reclaim my story, and I refuse to let you be a part of it any longer, I finished, grounding myself in the truth of those words. And with that declaration, I turned on my heels, creating space between us. This was only a part of my journey forward, and as I stepped out of the worn shadows of the neon peach, I finally felt the burden lift from my shoulders. Freedom was one step closer, and I knew there would be more storms to weather, but I was no longer afraid to confront them. Lucas fell into step beside me, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I allowed a smile to break free, wide and genuine. I had chosen to stand up for myself, and that was the most empowering decision I could make. I stood in my kitchen the next day, the sunlight pouring through the window, illuminating the dust motes swirling in the air, but all I saw was darkness. The memories of last night clung to me like the dampness of a rain-soaked shirt. My heart raced, even though I tried to drown out the noise in my mind with the sound of boiling water. A tea kettle whistled shrilly, snapping me back to the present. I glanced at the clock. It was still early, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, like the calm before a storm. My phone buzzed on the counter, breaking the silence. I reached for it, my fingers shaking slightly as I unlocked the screen. It was a message from Meg, my best friend. "Hey Leela, you okay? You seemed off last night." I hesitated for a moment, weighing my options. Should I share my turmoil, or should I shield her from the chaos of my feelings? I decided on the latter and typed back, "Yeah, just tired, a lot on my mind." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. As I poured steaming water over my teabag, I leaned against the counter, letting out a heavy sigh. Every inch of me screamed for justice, but I had to keep my head clear. After everything Derek had done, I needed a plan. I started to pace the small kitchen, the worn wooden floor creaking under my weight, my thoughts spiraling with each step. I could still hear the sound of his laughter in my ears, the way he had smirked the last time we spoke. The betrayal felt like shards of glass embedded in my chest, and every time I thought about him, the anger would rise like bile in my throat. "I can't believe I trusted you," I muttered to myself, hoping I'd somehow convince the universe to align in my favor. I stopped in front of the fridge, pulling it open as if the cool air would refresh my mind. The packed shelves reminded me of how empty my days felt. I grabbed a slice of leftover pizza, trying to think of something else. Just then, there was a knock at the door, and I jumped, the pizza slice slipping from my grip and landing with a soft thud on the floor. I took a moment to regain my composure. "Who could that be?" I asked aloud, though I was the only one in the room. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and walked cautiously to the door, each step deliberate and slow. I could see a shadow moving outside through the peephole and felt a rush of anxiety. Could it be Derek? Would he have the gall to show up after everything? My heart raced as I reached for the handle. I opened the door just enough to peek out. Relief washed over me when I found Meg standing there, her auburn hair falling in messy waves around her face and her eyes wide with concern. "Leela. Why didn't you text me back?" she cried, pushing the door open the rest of the way and stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. A strange mix of warmth and irritation bubbled within me. I just didn't want to burden you with my drama," I replied, closing the door behind her. "You are my best friend, we share everything. Besides, I know you're hardly drama for yourself. Come on, sit, tell me what is going on." She pulled out a chair at the small kitchen table, the wood creaking under the pressure. I followed her lead, taking a seat across from her. She leaned forward, concern etched across her face. "Leela, you need to talk to someone about this. You can't keep everything bottled up." I took a deep breath, preparing to let some of it out. "It's just Derek." I watched her face change at the mention of his name. That jerk. What did he do now?" she asked, crossing her arms defensively. I could hear the anger in her voice, and it sparked hope within me, knowing I wasn't alone in my feelings. "He flaunted his new girlfriend in front of me last night," I said, disgust twisting my stomach into knots. "He thinks he can just walk back into my life like nothing happened. I feel like an idiot for ever believing he cared." Meg's expression shifted from concern to indignation. "He does not get to treat you like that, Leela. You deserve so much better." Her fiery spirit pumped life into my own simmering resolve. It just felt so hurtful, like all that we shared meant nothing to him. I looked away, fearing I might choke on my words. The memory of their laughter was a constant torment I just could not shake off. "You have to do something. You cannot let him just walk away with his arrogance intact," Meg insisted, her brow furrowing as she formulated ideas in her mind. "I know what you are thinking, revenge." I bit down on my lip at the word. "It sounds bad when you say it like that." "No, it sounds right. It sounds empowering. Look, you have to take control of this situation. Striking back might just take the sting out of it," she encouraged, her voice rising with enthusiasm. "You cannot let him win." Her words began to ignite an ember of an idea within me. Slowly, as I considered them, the anger that had been a dull ache roared back to life, bold and relentless. "What if I did something?" I murmured, almost to myself. "Exactly. What if you showed him that you are better off without him?" "But what?" I hesitated, words slipping from my mind. The ideas were swirling around, chaotic and wild. What if I hacked his social media, posted something ridiculous? I had seen the way he lived online, flaunting his new relationship to everyone who would look. "Oh my God, yes, that would be glorious," she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "But that is kind of illegal, right?" I asked, a small voice inside cautioning me. But is it illegal if you are just exposing the truth, right? She shot back quickly. Crunching my brow, I leaned back in my chair, a sudden weight settling heavily on my chest. I started to rethink the idea. I don't know, Meg, I just don't want to end up in serious trouble or do something I will regret, I replied, doubts gnawing at my confidence again. Meg shook her head vigorously. No way, you could use an anonymous account or something. It would not be traced back to you, and you could take your time planning the perfect post. Just think about what people might think when they see it. My heart raced at the thrill of the plan, but the fear of being found out tangled with it. Using an anonymous account, I murmured, rolling the words around in my mind. It was risky but felt thrilling. It could work. That's the spirit, channel your anger. Give it a purpose, she urged, leaning over the table, her enthusiasm radiating around the room. Just think of how satisfying it will be when you hit send. I nodded slowly, the mix of doubt and excitement swirling in my chest. Okay, I might be able to work with that. Meg clapped her hands together, grinning ear to ear. That's my girl, let's craft the perfect post. What do you want to say to him exactly? My mind raced, the adrenaline beginning to piece together the first fragments of a plan. I couldn't help but smile, feeling that ember of revenge spark a fire within me. In that moment, I knew I had started down a path that could either liberate me or lead me further into darkness. But for once, it felt like I was the one holding the reins. The air felt thick that morning, filled with the scent of damp earth and potential. As I walked down the uneven cobblestone path toward the coffee shop, I could feel my heartbeat steadying. This was going to be a pivotal moment, not just for my revenge, but also for who I was becoming. Gone was the timid Leela, considerate and accommodating. Instead, a new version of me was emerging, one who was ready to confront the consequences of betrayal. The bell jingled above the coffee shop door as I entered, instantly surrounded by the warm hum of conversation and the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans. I paused just inside, scanning the cozy space. A few early risers were scattered at the small tables, heads bent over their drinks or eager to dive into the comforting pages of their books. I spotted Marley, my old high school friend, seated in a corner, her fiery red hair barely contained in a messy bun. She looked up as I approached, her hazel eyes widening with surprise. Leela, I wasn't expecting to see you here, she exclaimed, her voice warm and inviting. Yeah, I needed a place to think, I replied, sliding into the seat across from her. The chair creaked beneath me, its wood familiar yet foreign as I settled in. Marley took a sip of her coffee, her brow furrowing in curiosity. Everything okay? You look a little intense. Just trying to figure some things out, I said, hesitating, then decided to test the waters. You remember that guy, Jason, the one who, well, you know, of course, everyone knows what he did to you, she interjected, her voice lowering as she leaned forward, elbows resting on the table. It was terrible. You really haven't spoken much about it since. Right, well, I've decided to take a different approach. You know how I used to let everything slide? I don't want to be that person anymore. Her eyes sparkled with intrigue. What do you mean? I glanced around the shop, making sure no one was close enough to overhear us. I had been preparing for this conversation, not really knowing how it would unfold but feeling an undeniable urge to share my plan with someone. I have a plan to confront him, to make him understand the pain he caused. I want him to feel the weight of those choices. I swallowed hard, my voice steady but my insides shaking. There it was, clearer now, laid out on the table between us like a card on a game board, a challenge for Marley. Marley raised an eyebrow, a mix of concern and excitement flashing across her face. That sounds intense. Do you think he will get it? Do you want him to get it? The question hung in the air, heavy and palpable. Did I want him to understand, or did I want him to suffer? The answer felt like a layer of ice fracturing within me, revealing a molten core of fury that had simmered far too long. I think I want him to regret what he did. Not just to me but so he knows nobody gets away with it. I could feel my heartbeat pulsing in my ears as I spoke. The words were flowing now, unrestrained, and I felt powerful. Marley's shoulders relaxed as she leaned back, the coffee shop bustling around us. So what's the plan then? You can't just walk up to him and shout you broke my heart. That's not going to yield any satisfaction. No, it won't. I thought about that. That would feel too much like giving him a chance to dismiss me again. This has to be more than that. I found out he's holding an event at the gallery on Saturday, somewhere classy where he'll want to show off and mingle. I plan on crashing it. Marley's eyebrows shot up, her red hair bouncing slightly with the movement. What? Are you serious? Leela, that's risky. What if you run into him? Or worse, what if he tries to do damage control? Ready for that, I insisted fiercely, the fire inside me flaring. I needed Marley to believe in me just as much as I was trying to believe in the new me. I'll have a strategy, he won't see me coming. I'm going to be someone he doesn't recognize, and I'll make him feel what he made me feel, a sense of loss, disconnection. I want him to know what it means to lose something, to fear it slipping away. You want him to be afraid? She leaned in, intrigued. That's bold, but have you thought about how it could backfire? He might react badly, and I don't want you to get hurt again. You've already been through so much. The concern in her voice wrapped around my heart, squeezing. In that moment, I felt the weight of my past disappointments. I know the risks, Marley. I'm more prepared than you think. I've been rehearsing conversations in my head for weeks now, imagining what I would say if I ever got the chance to confront him. I need him to see the real impact of what he did. It's not just about revenge for me anymore, it's about reclaiming my life in the process. I could see the gears turning in Marley's mind as she weighed my words. I held my breath, hoping to convince her of my resolve as much as myself. What about you? You could come with me. I could really use a friend there, someone who knows me and won't let me slip back into old habits. She hesitated, biting her lip. Leela, I want to support you, but what do you want from this? Is there a final goal? It was a question that struck like a thrown stone, disturbing the calm surface of my thoughts. The truth was, I didn't have a clear destination beyond the need to confront my own demons and his. I guess I want closure. I want to leave the girl who was hurt behind and step into something stronger. I need to know I can face him on my terms. A sense of stillness enveloped us. The coffee shop's ambience faded into the background as our eyes locked, a shared understanding passing between us. Okay then, I'm in. If you believe this is what you need, I will be there with you. But you need to be careful, Leela. Just promise me you won't let it consume you. Thank you. I promise, I said, a small smile creeping onto my face, my heart swelling with gratitude and anticipation. The weight of the plan felt lighter now. We spent the next hour mapping out details, sketching an outline of how to make my confrontation not just a moment of vengeance but a life-changing event. As I left the coffee shop, the world outside shimmered with potential. The sun was casting golden rays across the streets of Crescent Grove, igniting a new sense of purpose in me. This would not only be about getting back at Jason. This was about reclaiming the pieces of me he had shattered. My footsteps echoed with renewed confidence as I walked away, each step solidifying my resolve. I was ready for the upcoming storm, ready to gain closure, and ready to finally take control of my life. The sun dipped low over Crescent Grove, casting long shadows that draped across the weathered wooden planks of the abandoned pier. I stood at the edge, feeling the cool breeze against my skin, a welcome relief from the weight that sat tight in my chest. It was just past twilight, and the air smelled like salt and memories. I reached into my pocket, fingering the small, jagged piece of wood that I had chipped from the pier a few days back, a reminder of the promises I made to myself. My gaze drifted to the setting sun, its orange hues blending with darkening blues, and for a fleeting moment, I lost myself in the beauty. Beauty could not distract me from my purpose, and my purpose was far from beautiful. I turned, hearing footsteps crunching against the gravel behind me. Leela, a voice called out, breaking through my reverie. It was Evan, my old friend, or whatever shred of a friend he remained after all that had happened. Are you here? He continued, his voice tinged with concern just like always. His silhouette emerged from the shadows, catching the last light, and I felt a mix of relief and annoyance at his arrival. He looked good, clean-cut and casual in jeans and a fitted shirt, but his expression hinted at the burden of guilt that I knew he carried. I'm here, I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. There was no need to soften the edges for him. He had chosen his side long ago. The air felt thicker with his presence. What do you want? Leela, we need to talk, he said, taking a step closer. I could see the worry etched across his forehead, the way his blue eyes darted uneasily as he searched my face for signs of what I was planning. I was too familiar with that look. You have to let this go. You can't keep chasing after Marcus. It's dangerous. His words stung. I knew he meant well, but it angered me how casually he dismissed my pain. Dangerous? You think I care about the danger? My voice rose slightly, and the wind carried my words like a warning. Evan, do you think just because I act like everything is fine that it really is? Do you have any idea what he did to me, to us? I do, and that's why I want you to walk away, he pleaded. You're risking everything for revenge. You're not yourself. You haven't been for a while. Maybe that is the point. I gritted my teeth, feeling the heat rising. I never asked to be who I became because of Marcus, but I am done being weak. Do you think I can just smile as if nothing happened? He destroyed my life, Evan. I get that, but avenging yourself is not the answer, he said, holding up his hands as if trying to hold back the torrent of my anger. Sometimes, Leela, the best revenge is moving on. It's letting go, it's living. Living? Is that what you think I can do? Just forget the night he took everything from me. His laughter echoes in my mind every single day, mocking me. Do you think I can just walk away? My voice trembled, but I held my ground, grappling with the truth of my own words. Then don't walk away. Do something constructive, he urged, stepping closer still, closing the space between us. Open a gallery, paint what you feel. You could work through it creatively. Please don't let this darkness consume you. Creatively? I spat, laughter lacing my words, bitter and sharp. You think throwing paint on canvas is going to erase the scars he left? This darkness, I gestured wildly at the encroaching night, was created by him. No amount of painting or galleries will ever drive it away. It's embedded in my bones. The silence that followed felt heavy as the weight of his concern pressed against me, but I didn't care. I had made my decision, and nothing would dissuade me now. Evan searched my eyes, and I knew he was trying to find the Leela he had once known, the girl who dreamed of art and adventure, not revenge. I have to do this, I said at last, my voice softer but resolute. This is the only way I can reclaim my life. But it's dangerous, he pressed, frustration spilling into his tone. You think you understand what he is capable of? Have you lost your mind? Suddenly, the memories came crashing down like a wave. I could almost hear the laughter again, the fateful party where Marcus had turned everything upside down. It was supposed to be just another get-together, but it became a battlefield where my innocence was lost forever. I'm not scared of him, Evan, not anymore, I said defiantly. You should be, he whispered, shaking his head. You don't know what you are dealing with. Marcus is not just some guy. He runs with dangerous people. This could backfire on you. He has friends, connections. You could end up hurt worse than before. Better hurt than being a coward, I challenged, crossing my arms. Somehow, standing there, I felt emboldened as if the tension in the air ignited a fire within me. I won't let him have the last word. I refuse to be a victim. I can't just stand by and let you risk everything for this, he insisted, his voice a desperate plea. You are everything to me, Leela. I can't lose you. Then be with me, I returned sharply. Help me. You know he is too proud to notice when I strike. You know his habits better than anyone else. Do you want to see him pay? Evan swallowed hard, the fight in him fading as he realized I was serious. You want my help to get back at him? Is that really how far you are willing to go? I have to do something, don't you get it? I refuse to be quiet while he thrives. I won't let him walk away while I suffer, I said, the words pouring out as the realization hit. You know I can do this. I can pull it off if you are with me. What exactly do you have in mind? His expression shifted from anger to uncertainty, and I could sense the gears turning in his mind. Deep down, I could see he was intrigued, maybe even excited by the idea of taking down the monster who had wronged me. I took a deep breath, sifting through 1,000 thoughts to find the right one. I want to draw him in, make him believe it is all over, a game where he can win. We can use his pride against him. The thought of him rising again only fuels my rage. We find a way to make it hurt. Make every bit of his gain a step towards his downfall. The glimmer of understanding ignited in Evan's eyes, though a flicker of concern still resided there. You mean to bait him, to make him think he can take advantage of you, while you, trap him? Exactly, I affirmed, my heart pounding loudly in my chest, adrenaline surging through my veins. He likes to play the game and thinks he is invincible. It is time someone reminded him he can lose. And it won't be easy, Evan warned, but I saw something shift within him, a flicker of the boy who once stood by me, fighting for my voice when I felt small. I am ready for the challenges, Evan. I know what I need to do, I insisted, my mind racing with possibilities that could twist and turn into a plan against Marcus. I can't wait for someone else to make him pay. It is personal. I owe it to myself and to everyone he has hurt. Fine, he said, resigned. But know that if we do this, there is no turning back. You will have to be careful. We will need a strategy, and I can help with that, but you need to promise me you'll stay safe. I promise, I said, though I felt the weight of my words. I could sense the gravity of the path I was choosing, but at that moment I felt revitalized, like my heart had finally found its rhythm again. Okay, Evan said, his voice steady, a sliver of hope creeping back into it. Let's figure this out, together, together. The word wrapped around me like a warm embrace, stirring a long-lost sense of camaraderie, but I knew that the road ahead was fraught with perils I had not yet begun to fathom. As we stood at the edge of the pier, I allowed myself a single thought that carried both dread and excitement. I was ready to fight back, no matter the cost. And Marcus had no idea about the storm that was coming. The sharp scent of rain hit my nostrils like a punch as I stepped into the quiet alley behind the Golden Willow bar. The cobbled stones beneath my feet glistened in the dim light of the street lamp, and the low rumble of thunder overhead seemed to synchronize with the rapid beating of my heart. I had waited for this moment for far too long. My fingers curled around the small silver object tucked safely in my pocket. It felt cool against my skin, a reminder of my plan. My mind raced back to the reasons that brought me here, as vivid as the storm clouds above me, swirling with anger and a longing for justice, or whatever it was I had convinced myself was justice. This is it, Leela, I whispered to myself, my voice barely louder than the sound of the falling rain. No turning back now. I could feel the weight of my decision grinding against my chest. I moved deeper into the shadows, approaching the alley's end where the flickering neon lights of the bar glowed in the distance. That place had been a den of sin for too long, a refuge for the people who had wronged me and turned my life upside down. It was fitting that I would confront them right where it all began. My grip on the object tightened as I heard footsteps approaching. I pressed myself closer to the stone wall, half obscured by the gloom. The sound grew louder, and a figure materialized through the haze of rain. It was Marco, leaning against the wall, his expression clouded under the brim of his hat. A sense of dread washed over me, but I held my ground. Leela, is that you? He squinted, the neon lights casting eerie shadows across his face. What the hell are you doing here? Unfazed, I stepped forward, revealing myself fully. I came to talk, Marco. Instantly, a flicker of fear crossed his face, then was replaced by an arrogant smirk. Talk, what could you possibly want to say to me after everything? His whisper was almost mocking, and it ignited a fire within me. I want to say you were wrong, Marco. You underestimated me. I took a breath, letting the electrifying tension in the air take hold. And tonight, you'll see just how wrong you were. Confusion and surprise filled his eyes, and for a brief moment, I savored the power of the unexpected. You think you can threaten me? You're out of your league, girl. I laughed, the sound carrying in the chilling night air. Oh, Marco, do you think this is just about threats? No, this is something much bigger. With a sudden movement, I pulled the object from my pocket. In the dim light, it glinted menacingly, an elegant but deadly knife, its blade honed to perfection. You see this? I held it up, feeling the surge of adrenaline as Marco's expression shifted from amusement to fear. This isn't a threat, this is a promise. His bravado faltered, the smirk falling away as he took a hesitant step backward. What are you doing, Leela? Put that down, you don't know what you're getting into. Oh, I know exactly what I am doing, Marco. It's you who doesn't understand the depths of my resolve. The rain continued to fall in sheets around us, the sound echoing like a heartbeat. My blood pumped through my veins, the thrill of the moment suffusing me with a sense of power that I had not felt in years. Marco opened his mouth, perhaps to plead or to threaten in return, but I wasn't interested in his words anymore. You think you can just walk away from the wreckage you left behind. The lies, the manipulation, you ruined lives for your own gain. My voice echoed against the brick walls, raw and unyielding. I took a step closer, brandishing the knife with an unmatched intensity, the silver glint catching the light in a way that proclaimed my intention. You had it all, Marco, the charm, the connections, but you chose deceit. You chose to turn on those who trusted you, including me. Memories flooded back, painful and hot. The betrayal felt like a fresh wound, sharper than the blade I held. Do you remember what you did? How easily you tossed aside our friendship as if it were nothing. Marco's bravado cracked like fragile glass, fear seeping into the corners of his eyes as I advanced on him. I remember you were nothing but a toy to me, Leela, he hissed, crossing his arms defensively. Toys are easy to break. The contempt in his voice only fueled my fire. But you forgot, toys can also cut back. With a swift motion, I flicked the knife, its blade gleaming ominously as I pointed it toward him. Tonight is about payback. I may not take your life, but by the end of this you will know what real power feels like. I could see the pulse of panic in his throat, the realization that he had underestimated me once again. Listen, Leela, he stuttered, his bravado cracking, forming jagged edges. This doesn't have to end badly. Just put the knife down. We can work something out. I can help you. I almost laughed at the absurdity of his offer. Was he really offering help, or was it simply a desperate attempt to save his skin? Help, you had your chance to help when you backstabbed me, remember? All you wanted was to watch me fall. I leaned in closer, forcing him to acknowledge the bitter truth of his actions. I would rather cut ties with the past than crawl back to someone who only wants me for their gain. The rain pounded down harder, a chorus of relentless drumming echoing my resolve. The second of hesitation hung thick between us, and I could feel the tension, palpable and electric, like a live wire about to snap. Suddenly, I felt a rush of anger surge through me. What right did he have to plead for mercy when he had shown none? I pointed the knife towards him with emphasis. You think because you can charm people with your smile that you are invincible, that you will never be confronted. It is time for you to face the person you have become. The disbelief on his face was almost satisfying, and the moment before I acted felt like an eternity. You think you can intimidate me, you just do not know how far I will go to get what I want, Leela. His voice was low, dangerous, a warning cloaked in bravado. Your threats don't scare me. But I could see the fear creeping back in his eyes, the truth of his words eroding under the weight of my gaze. Oh, but they should, I hissed, letting the knife catch the reins. Reflection. In that moment, I realized I held not just a weapon but a symbol of my liberation, a tool to slice away the chains that had bound me to his tyranny. Just as I took another step closer, the world around us echoed with a loud clap of thunder, shaking the walls of the alley. I seized the moment, feeling the rush of adrenaline pound through my veins. You took everything from me, Marco, and now you will face the consequences. Another step. Tonight, you will remember my name. I thrust the knife toward him, not with the intention of stabbing but to emphasize my point, each inch closer a reminder of the power I had reclaimed. You will remember this moment as the night you lost everything. No, Leela, please, panic had overtaken him. Don't be a fool, I can help you, we can still do something big together. Do something big? You mean con more people? Ruin more lives? No, Marco, you do not get to write your own ending. I needed him to understand that I was no longer the girl who had been a pawn in his game. I was the player now, set on a course that would not be turned aside. The blade trembled slightly in my hand, but my heart was steady. I will not allow you to create any more victims, this ends now. A shudder ran through me as the realization washed over me, I would not be victimized again. I was ready to reclaim my story, and his would be rewritten in the most beautiful way. The words hung in the air, heavy as the storm that engulfed us. I had finally found my voice, my strength forged not in the desire for chaos but in the thirst for closure. With a swift motion, I closed the space between us, bringing the blade closer to his throat. The fear in his eyes was palpable, feeding my resolve. Do you finally understand the gravity of your actions, Marco? My voice was firm but steady. Your reign of terror ends tonight.